You don't need a great deal of life experience to become aware that some people are always first. First of their class, irritatingly first in math or chemistry or sports. Others are second, third, fourth, or in last place. Children are unfortunately exposed to this at an early age in our schools, instilling in many a sense of inferiority. As for those who are convinced of their superiority and constantly wanting others to be aware of it too, they not surprisingly often end up with very few friends, if any. It's not hard to imagine why. And then there are those who are first at what they do, but an additional sign of their intellect is their humility. They know that others exist. They are genuinely interested in the lives of other people. You might object, as one French writer has, that people who are very gifted can afford to be humble. There is, of course, some truth to that statement. Humility may be more difficult when you are struggling to have your own value acknowledged. I would like to talk today about the way of being first that is evinced in the New Testament. Christ is repeatedly called first, the firstborn of all creation, firstborn among many brothers and sisters, firstborn of the dead. First is even a name he gives himself in the book of Revelation. I am the first and the last, says Jesus. I am, in Greek, ego eimi. In St. John's Gospel, these two words, ego, I, and eimi, am, appear frequently. They are even a characteristic of the way Jesus speaks. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the truth, the way, and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. So lots of ego statements. But does that amount to being egocentric? Does it add up to egotism? Let's have a closer look at some of these statements. What stands out is that they are always related to what Jesus wants to be for us. Bread that nourishes and gives life. Light for our steps to keep us from stumbling in the dark. Water for our thirst. For Christ to say, I am, means this is what I want to be for you. So we, you and I, our well-being, are never far from his I am statements. Our friend Rowan Williams put this in a slightly different way as he got to know Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He says he started to understand that there are two kinds of egotists. Let me read to you a few lines from the talk he gave in New Zealand a few years ago. He says there are egotists that are so in love with themselves that they've got no room for anybody else. And there are egotists who are so in love with themselves that they're quite happy for everybody else to be in love with themselves. He noticed that, yes, Desmond loves being Desmond Tutu. There's no doubt about that. But he also noticed the effect it had on him. The effect of that is not to make me feel a bit kind of frozen or shrunk. It's to make me feel, well, actually, perhaps I could love being Rowan Williams in the way that Desmond loves being Desmond Tutu. What Rowan Williams is talking about is a quality of presence that increases the desire to live, to be who you are. Maybe this can help us to understand how Jesus is the first. He is the first to love us, says the first letter of John. Perhaps what is meant is not simply that he initiates love, that love is his initiative, but that he is unsurpassable in eliciting in others the confidence, the trust that they are loved. And, as a result, such people become capable of loving as well. In the language of John, when we begin to open up to this, we pass from death to life. We become alive inside. In a discussion about being first that we find in the other Gospels, it's striking that Jesus does not say, forget about being first, but instead he begins his sentence by saying, whoever wishes among you to be first. What follows will therefore be a kind of statement about a very different way of being first. Whoever wishes among you to be first continues with, will be your servant. It's as if he were saying, being first means excelling at promoting the existence of others. This can also be called holiness. When using this word, I'm not thinking about the constrained behavior that makes you feel you always have to be in your Sunday best. Ron Williams sheds light on a life-giving holiness in another part of the reflection I quoted from a moment ago. He adds, but the holy person somehow enlarges your world, makes you feel more yourself, opens you up, affirms you. They're not in competition. They're not saying, I've got something you haven't. They're saying, there's an enormous amount of room for you in the world we occupy together. They are the people who've made me feel better rather than worse about myself. Now, you can misunderstand that. Not people who make me feel complacent about myself, but people who make me feel it's okay, we can start there. The world is big enough and God is big enough. And he reaches this conclusion, real holiness somehow brings into my life that sense of opening up opportunity, changing things. It's not about being made to feel inadequate. On the contrary, somehow I feel a little bit more myself. The notion of competition has done a great deal of harm to Christian thinking about God. Thinking in competitive terms comes to us so naturally that we may fail to see how any other mode of existence or mode of being is possible. But what do we see when we look at the life of Christ as it is told in the Gospels? His holiness is seen not by towering above others, but in his solidarity with us. Being there for others is his deepest identity. He's not vying for first place. And seeing him, we see the Father. God is not just another person in the universe. God is the very ground of our freedom and our initiatives. Let us love since he loved us first means that God's love for us empowers us as human beings to love and even to participate in his own life of love. We too can be there for others, and that is how we encounter God. Those who have read Bonhoeffer will have recognized in what I have just said Bonhoeffer's vision of the church. And the same vision is expressed today by Pope Francis. I started this reflection quoting 1 John. In the 2nd century, not far from Taizé, just 100 kilometers, just 60 miles south of us, there lived a Christian who knew someone who had known St. John. His name was Irenaeus, and he was Bishop of Lyon. Perhaps because he was influenced by St. John's writings, he once said, "The glory of God is a human being fully alive." There was no room in his thought for a God competing with human beings. Without a doubt, Irenaeus also knew the words from the book of Exodus. No one shall see God and live. But the words that follow the famous line I've just quoted dare to claim, the life of the human being is vision of God. God is glorified, that is, known for who God truly is when we are fully alive. And life is never more intense and real than when God is present and welcomed.